In a quaint little town surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests, the streets were often filled with the laughter and chatter of its residents. It was a place where neighbors knew each other by name, and the aroma of freshly baked bread wafted from the local bakery every morning. Among the residents was a group of spirited teenagers who were known for their boundless energy and unquenchable curiosity. Their exuberance often led them to playful mischief, but they had an unrelenting habit of seeking excitement, sometimes at the expense of others, without fully realizing the consequences of their actions. One crisp autumn day, the teenagers gathered in the town's central park, a serene place where the golden leaves danced in the wind, and the gentle hum of nature provided a peaceful backdrop. The park was a haven for families, elderly couples, and solitary wanderers who sought solace in its beauty. As the teenagers roamed the park, their lively banter and laughter echoed through the air, catching the attention of passers-by. Their wandering eyes soon fell upon an elderly man walking along the cobblestone path. He leaned heavily on an old, intricately carved cane, and each deliberate step seemed to tell a story of resilience. His worn coat hung loosely on his frail frame, and his weathered face bore deep lines etched by time and experience. Yet it was his eyes that captured attention, a bright, unwavering gaze that seemed to hold the wisdom of generations. The teenagers, driven by a mix of boredom and mischievous energy, decided to make the old man the target of their antics. At first, their teasing was mild, a few giggles and whispered comments. They pointed at his cane, mimicking his slow, deliberate pace. "Look at the way he's walking," one of them said, eliciting a ripple of laughter. But as the minutes passed, their mockery escalated. They began to imitate his gait, exaggerating his movements and casting their laughter into the still air. The old man, though visibly pained, maintained his composure. He walked on, his grip on the cane tightening as if drawing strength from it. Tears glistened in his eyes but did not fall. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the park in hues of orange and pink, the teenagers continued their ridicule, emboldened by the old man's silence. But then, something unexpected happened. The elderly man paused mid-step, turned to face his tormentors, and reached into his pocket to retrieve a modest mobile phone. His fingers trembled slightly as he dialed a number, but his expression was one of determination. "Hello, son," he began, his voice calm but tinged with resolve. "I need your help." The man on the other end of the line was his son, a decorated officer in the elite Higher Intelligence Brigade. Known for his bravery and strategic mind, the son held a deep respect for his father, who had been his guiding light throughout life. Hearing the unusual tone in his father's voice, he immediately sensed something was amiss. Without pressing for details, he assured his father that he would handle the situation. Meanwhile, the teenagers, unaware of the weight of the phone call, continued to jest, though their laughter began to waver as an unsettling tension filled the air. Minutes later, the distant hum of engines broke through the park's tranquility. Several sleek, dark-tinted cars rolled into view, their arrival punctuated by the sharp squeal of brakes. From these vehicles emerged a group of imposing men, their tailored suits and confident strides exuding authority. The teenagers froze, their faces draining of color as the men approached. Leading the group was a tall man with piercing eyes and an air of command. He stopped in front of the teenagers, his gaze icy and unyielding. "That man you mocked," he said, his voice low and measured, "is my father." The teenagers exchanged nervous glances, their earlier bravado replaced by a palpable fear. One of them, trying to muster some semblance of defiance, and stammered, "We didn't mean any harm. It was just a joke." The man's expression didn't soften. "Respect is not a joke," he replied. "Every person, regardless of age or appearance, deserves to be treated with dignity. Now I suggest you apologize, sincerely, or face the consequences of your actions." Realizing the gravity of their behavior, the teenagers quickly stepped forward, their voices trembling as they apologized to the old man. Their words, though hurried, carried a newfound humility. The elderly man, who had been observing from a distance, approached them. His face bore a gentle smile, though his eyes held a hint of sadness. "Young ones," he said softly, "kindness costs nothing, yet its value is immeasurable. I hope today's lesson stays with you." The men in suits escorted the teenagers out of the park, leaving them to reflect on the incident. As for the old man, he returned to his stroll, his steps lighter than before. His message had been delivered, not through anger or vengeance, but through the power of humility and respect. Over the weeks that followed, the teenagers couldn't shake the memory of that day. It lingered in their minds, a constant reminder of the consequences of their actions. Slowly, they began to change. They started volunteering at local shelters, mentoring younger children, and advocating for kindness in their community. The old man's quiet wisdom had sparked a change in their hearts, transforming their youthful arrogance into a genuine desire to make a positive impact. The town, too, noticed the transformation. Residents often saw the teenagers helping elderly neighbors with groceries or cleaning up the park. Their laughter returned, but now it carried a warmth that touched those around them. The once mischievous group had become a source of inspiration, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple outward, creating a wave of positive change.